We watched George transform cinema with Night of the Living Dead. And while the lore of the little accidental public domain film grows, the director's thirst for creating unique movies grows with it. He refused to lean on just zombie movies. He makes There's Always Vanilla, Season of the Witch, The Crazies, and Martin, doing so without the public eye or any pressure on him. They hadn't seen Night of the Living Dead, so there was no pressure on George to have to recreate something that he had already mastered. He is absolutely free to create whatever he desired. But after nearly a decade of making movies, the world had a craving that they didn't quite realize. So, after 10 years of ignoring what brought his name to the public eye, George will walk into the 80s and realize sometimes dead is better. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Serial Killer. Hello everybody, welcome to another episode. This is get a live look into how the sausage is made. That's how you stuff a sausage, baby. Serial Killer is back. Round 2 of George Romero. So George Romero has made it mostly out of the 70s, right? He just finishes Martin. And now we are in 1978, and he has decided to go back to the thing that made him, right?
He did. Now, before we jump into the movies, did you want to give some shout outs?
Yeah. That's true. That is true. I should have.
And I do want to say, I want to highlight quick. Lot of praise for you, my friend, for your dub over in the beginning. A lot of people were. I actually forgot to pass that along this week because I've been on the run. A lot of people messaged me to say that they are glad that Serial Killer is back, and they were like, Sean, the pre-recorded voiceover that you do is great. So,
oh well, thank you, everyone. It's a labor of. It's not a labor. It's just trying to sound like those fucking bozos on NPR. It's crazy because I'm writing it and I'm like, I hope no one I hope they know I'm not being serious in it. You know what I mean? Because it's so dramatic and it's then you're gonna turn on the show and then we're like, top. Martin smells like farts. Martin, more like fartin'.
Exactly. I'm pretty sure if they're listening to us, they know that. And the one person that's checking us out for the first time will surely leave it.
So disappointed. So disappointed. You would be so ready for it after that intro. You'd be like, oh my God, I might have just found the best intellectual horror podcast of all time.
People that like deep dive analytics in the movies. So hype.
Holy shit, I can't wait to hear this.
George filmed good.
Night of the Living Dead. I guess we won't really talk about that because everyone knows it already. Let's instead talk about this weird witch wives movie, Hungry Wives.
Well, that's funny because this episode I fully intend to hijack before we start Dawn of the Dead, talking about something else. So.
Okay. So, yes, we got a bunch of shout outs this week because me and Joe have been busy and meeting all of you people all over. So we did a Patreon episode, so we kind of covered a little bit of this, but shout out to our hometown friend Maureen, who I got to see in Brooklyn last night. She's a fan of the show, which is always funny to me and Joe because no one in our town acknowledges us. They know that we exist and they know we're doing this, but they just pretend.
It's like we always talk about people that we consider friends. I can't let Amato.
Yeah.
Paul, Ryan, of course. They all check us out. They all listen to us. But people that we would consider friends, up until recently, know that we do this and don't pay us the time of day,
right.
Do their own version in their garages. But like Maureen, somebody that we've grown up with and are quite fond of, like doesn't just humor us by listening, like actually listens and enjoys it. So
yeah, it's cool.
Always cool to.
It's so cool. I saw her and her boyfriend Joe, and they were both fucking great. And Joe was really cool because he's such a casual horror fan. And I said this earlier, but like, I love hanging out with casual horror fans, man. Like they kind of just get it for the most part. They're just like, and they're just there for a good time. And they're like, I like spooky shit. I like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And he was like, have you seen the new Halloween? And I was like, yes. And I was like, oh boy, like if he's like, that was the best movie ever, it's going to be a hard rest of the evening. But instead he was like, that movie was the biggest piece of shit I've ever seen. And I was like, oh fuck, that's so fucking funny. And he's like, the only thing, what do you say? The only thing that topped it was the Texas Chainsaw on Netflix. I was like, yeah.
Awesome.
Makes sense. So shout out to them. And then I bounced from their house they were in Brooklyn. They were in Lower East Side. And then I bounced there to Brooklyn where our friend Matt, do you know his last name? I mean, I guess we shouldn't shout out people's last names anyway.
Yeah. That's it. But he's a drummer. He tours.
Yes, like a true touring drummer. I want to shout out his thing. The AS, this is a good username.
It's good.
The ASMR Volta. So, like the Mars Volta. That's so good. Anyway, great fucking drummer. He's toured with a bunch of bands. Right now, he's with the Callous Doughboys. And it's kind of crazy because he joined them for this tour. And then they're like popping off right now. Like, I'm seeing their shit on like Stereo Gum and Pitchfork. And it's like, oh shit. Like, this is kind of a big deal for him. So
yeah,
he's having a good time and hopefully stays with them for a while. I'm going to see him in October too, down in Florida with the fest. But
yeah,
it was super nice to see him. Dude, like we've been talking to that dude since
the beginning.
Dude, I feel like he was a kid. I think he was in high school, man. Or he was a sub.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, whatever he was super young. Because I remember I met him at CT Cult Classic.
Yeah.
He's from Pennsylvania and he came up for CT Cult Classic.
Yeah, he was telling me
definitely
about that.
A good guy.
Yeah, super cool guy. Great drummer. So it was cool to meet him. I love hanging out with our people.
Yeah,
I don't like calling them fans. It's a fucking weird.
It's weird. I
fucking
said that
power trip. It's like a weird.
I met Molly.
Right? Like you can't call them that because you connect with them and you're like, oh, that's fucking cool. Like,
yeah, it's like, how do I tag you? Like, I don't want to be like horror show fan or horror show listener.
But it's like how you want to like show other people. It's like we want to show
yeah.
people like, hey, this, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, no doubt. No, it's weird. And I do want to give a shout out to Nick B. His username's I Hate It Here. He was also at Boston Calling when I went on Sunday, and super cool dude. He wanted to meet up. On Sunday, there was like 10 times more people than there was on Friday. And every time you'd be like, hey, we're over here. I was on the polar opposite side and walking through anyone, like it was just a fucking nightmare. So like I kept trying to meet him and like he was super cool about it, which I also appreciate. Like at one point he was like, I'm at the concession stand and he was just like, dude, it's fucking crazy. Like don't even fucking bother coming over here right now, which like I felt bad. Like I kept trying to get to him and see him, and then the cell service was terrible because there were so many people. So Nick, sorry we didn't actually get to meet up, but it was cool, checking in with you during that because we were in contact like that entire night, being like,
that's so crazy.
The set is awesome. Like we're over here, so it was like we hung out. But next time, hopefully we'll be able to link up.
I know we got to just do a live show is what we have to do. Like all these people are around us. Yeah, that's cool. I really appreciate him telling you not to come because there's a lot of people that'd be like, yeah, it's fine. Just meet me over here. And then you'd be like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, did you really just make me fucking do that, motherfucker? And not that I wouldn't be grateful to you as a fan, but like, give us a heads up if we're going to like, fucking regret it.
Yeah, he was like, I will sing Buddy Holly with you in spirit. Like, he's like, I'm over on this side. Like,
that's a song. That's a good song.
Yeah, man.
We should have talked about that on the fucking Patreon. Let's go do a Weezer deep dive on the Patreon.
I've been wanting to listen to their albums front to back.
Let's do it. Let's go Pinkerton, baby. Yeah. Okay. Is that all of our shout outs? I think that's all of our shout outs.
Yeah, I think that's it.
All right. Well, thank you all so much. And Reagan, I want to shout out Reagan too for doing a really good job with our promotional shit for the serial killer stuff. And she's going to have a baby soon. So if our Instagram goes dark, you know why, because I've been like trying to like get in the mindset of picking it back up while she like delivers a child, and I'm just like, can it just put it fucking survive on its own?
Let's put it in Paul's hands.
Oh my god, dude, that would actually be amazing. Let Paul run it for a week.
Just there'd be so many fucking memes of like the most kindergarten level humor.
Bathroom pranks gone wrong.
Dude, that's a legitimate thing Paul sent me and Sean. And it was just like some guy in a bathroom pointing the camera down so you can see people's feet and stalls and just be like, hey, are you pooping in there? Like, what? Yeah, of course they are. In the bathroom. It's not a prank. It's not a prank.
It's got this huge text on it that's like, classic fucking toilet prank.
not pranking anyone. He's just saying things, and it's not funny. So let's let him take over. It'll be great for business.
It'll be awesome. Fucking raccoon memes and fucking... The occasional
in the Jaws month where he's going to be on.
The occasional lecture of like random fucking political topics, and me and Joe are just trying to make fucking jokes. Or when me and Joe are having a serious conversation, just sends like a fucking 7-year-old meme that's already been sent to the chat before. He's like, sorry, I didn't know you guys were talking. Oh man, that chat fucking kills me, man. That fucking provides me a lot of laughs during the day. So let's get into this. So I already did the intro before. So George is done with Martin.
And I want to hijack.
Oh
you.
yes,
Ready?
yes,
because
yes.
I watched 1976's The Booby Hatch, written and directed. I know it's just directed by George's writing partner, John Russo.
Yes. I think he wrote it. Maybe not. I'm going to look it up. I'll look it up.
So it has a lot of... I don't even know how I want to tackle this. So for all these movies I've been writing down who's in it. It has Sharon Joy Miller as Cherry Janikowski. Don't know if she's been in anything else ever. Has Doug Sorting as Herman Longfellow, the classic softcore porn name. He is Cherry's religious cross-dressing boyfriend who doesn't believe in premarital sex. We have Rudy Ricky, who plays Marcello Fettuccini. He is an impotent orgasm tester. His job is giving women orgasms, but he can't get it up. So that's quite the conundrum of this film. He is a zombie in Night of the Living Dead, and he is the leader of the motorcycle raiders in Dawn of the Dead. So
okay.
He still gets to work with Romero after this. We have David MG, however you say it. He is the main character, one of the main characters in Dawn of the Dead.
Yes.
He plays Marcello Fettuccini's brother, Angelo Fettuccini, who shows up twice and inexplicably in this softcore porn does a Humphrey Bogart impression. And he is in the mob, and he assassinates a blow-up doll. That is his main role, to avenge his brother. And again, is doing a legitimate and pretty well, I might say, Humphrey Bogart impression. And then we have Raymond Lane, who was in Season of the Witch, and There's Always Vanilla. He shows up again. So it has the Romero connections.
Yeah.
I don't profess to know anything about softcore porn. I don't think. Yeah, I think Deep Throat might be the only one I've ever tried to sit through, and like that didn't, it's
so awful.
Not sitting through that.
It's so awful. I know there's like a fan base for it now, like that vintage softcore shit, but I don't.
I think
it doesn't.
It's kind of. It doesn't. I think it's kind of cool to see like when there's established directors, like that was a good way for them to start. So if you're doing something like this, like you're doing, it would be cool if it was Romero, but if you're doing like a deep dive on a director, it's cool to see like them do this. And the internet ruined porn, it's not ruined it, but it's just like you just click on it and you don't have to sit through a plot. You just can see whatever kink you're into, right? Mm-hmm. This has a fucking script and it has people acting. And like that David Emge guy, he's an actor. Like, he was the star of Dawn of the Dead. He's not doing anything sexual in this, and he's playing a role. Like, it seems like it was kind of fun. This, though, I would recommend to fucking anybody. And for a movie that has the porn title, it is the least porny porn. They saved everything for the last 2 minutes. Like, you see any sex scene in this movie is just missionary, and I don't even think there's thrusting. It's literally just a guy laying on top of a girl for the entire movie. And then at the end, they just go balls out and just show you everything, everything you could possibly want to see for the last 2 minutes. But this movie, man, has it all. It has it's a dildo testing factory. Like I said, the Humphrey Bogart impression. He kills a sex doll. There is a potential rape scene that I was like, I don't know if I want to watch this, but it is thwarted because the guy, his pants zipper is stuck, and it's just like a normal jean zipper, and it is like a 5-minute scene of this guy struggling to get his zipper down until he just fucking gives up, and that's the end. So you don't have to watch that. There is a death by orgasm scene, and a pretty early reference to a micro penis, which I know people like throwing around a lot now, but that guy, the Herman Longfellow, doesn't believe in premarital sex. He's wearing a skirt, and Cherry looks up it and is just like, oh, for fuck's sake, like it's no bigger than a thimble, and he's just like, oh, fuck you. It'll grow. It is something, man. It's pretty entertaining for what it is. There's a man wearing a dick. He's committing stick-ups, but wearing a penis nose disguise. Like the Groucho Marx glasses.
This is fucking great.
It's great. I recommend it to fucking anyone. It was fun.
Do you think there's any question about who brought more of the talent to Night of the Living Dead, John Russo or?
I think it's clear now. It's John Russo.
John Russo. He did write and direct it.
Okay, yeah. Kudos to John Russell.
And
dude, you know that meme with like Pablo Escobar and he's just being sad, like things. Yes. When fucking Marcello Fettuccine can't get his dick up, so that means he can't work anymore. There's like 10 minutes of a 10-minute montage of him just doing things by himself and like being sad, including going on a Ferris wheel. And we watch him just go like out of frame and on frame while he's sulking. It's fucking incredible.
I watched the beginning of it in bed, and I was like, I can't do this right now. When he's like, the wacky dildo factory. Dude, it opens up with like a fake commercial or something. I was just like, this
the guy's just holding various dildos. Yeah. Also, some of them look like there's no way that's enjoyable. There's
that
just like warts all over it.
They're fucking insane. It was the most insane shit I've ever seen. So John Russo splits after Night of the Living Dead and makes that film. Kudos.
A wise career choice.
Now, was that the thing you wanted to hijack before that you mentioned?
It was.
Okay, good.
Because it came, chronologically speaking, it comes 2 years before Dawn of the Dead. Okay. And it has actors in it, so it crosses over.
No, I'm happy we talked about it. I wanted to talk about it. I just didn't know if there was more. Okay, cool.
Did you know that we've done a full episode on Dawn of the Dead?
Hey, no. What? Is that true?
Dude, so I was typing in Dawn of the Dead on IMDb, but for some reason I had my Spotify up. So I typed in Dawn of the Dead on my Spotify, and it came up the horror show 2017. I was like, oh, that's weird. Some show did it already called the same name of us, but then it was just our episode. I'm like, oh, how about that?
I
have no recollection.
Look at that. Number 128. Yeah, and there's some Paul in that too, I guess. There's some Paul in that episode, yeah. An additional.
I have no recollection. And I think I took I prepared myself more for this an episode with the 6 other movies that I did for the Dawn of the Dead for that.
Dude, that's what I'm thinking. I had all these like moments. Now everyone's gonna be like, "Hey, by the way, you talked about all of the same shit in that episode."
See, I'm more nervous. I'm gonna just contradict myself, which I don't know why I'm nervous, because I've just come to terms with the fact that everything I said pre-fatherhood was a fucking bullshit idiot.
I agree with that statement. Like, I don't know. Anything before the new return, I feel like is a little bit skewed.
Dude, I agree. Like, there are people that have reached out being like, "Hey, like people that I know in my life that are like, I want to check you guys out." I'm like, just start at the return. Like,
yeah, that's
I'm much happier.
That's how I kind of see it too. Yeah, same. Like, yeah, I was talking to the kid Matt about it last night because he was like talking about it when we ended and shit, and it was just like I know we've talked about it, but like I was doing the same fucking jokes. That's honestly what pissed me off the most, and it was just like, but it was the same shitty jokes of just being like, this sucks. Like, fucking look at Snoop Dogg. It's like, now, like, I'm pretty sure, like, almost every movie we've seen, we've been like, this movie's not good, but it's fucking awesome.
Having way more fun watching.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah. So I think that's, I'm more interested in our take now. So, but Dawn of the Dead is 78, right? So the 70s are over. He's entering the 80s and he's bringing back the zombies. And he said he wanted to do this purposefully to, he didn't want to make a zombie movie again right away. He wanted to give some time to let it air out before he did a sequel. Then he decides, hey, I'm going to do this sequel.
To be fair, and like we talked about, I think it was on our Patreon, I don't blame him. Like, the way that Night of the Living Dead went down and you're not making money off of that, like, why would you want to go back to I would just be so disheartened with it. And just
yeah.
No, I'm not going back to that.
No, I agree. And you know what? This whole thing is so weird because this is the first movie where he gets a bigger budget, really. And like, he's gaining traction. Like, people know about him. Like, Dario Argento finances the movie. Yes. In exchange for international distribution rights.
The Italian rights.
But that means Dario Argento knows you, right? Like, that's it. Like, that's amazing. So he's in that world now.
And Dario does the score, which classic score on this.
Amazing.
Yeah. Goblin does the score.
Yeah. And I guess the Italian version is just like Goblin playing the entire fucking movie, but Argento got to cut the film himself and release it as, zombie, as we'll, figure out with all of their fucking naming things. But
yeah, which is why we have Fulci's Zombie 2, which is an unofficial sequel to this.
Somehow a sequel to this, right? It so makes no sense. So he gets financing for this. The original screenplay is really fucking weird. I think I'll save that till a little bit later. But there's an original ending to this that's so fucking dark. George claims that it was shot. He has a documentary out called Documents of the Dead, and it was student filmmakers from Pittsburgh who are like just doing it for extra credit shit. And George was like, "Yeah, you can come film me make Dawn of the Dead." And so they did, and it's okay at best. It's an okay documentary. It's cool to see George and like him in the driver's seat of this movie and like Savini and stuff. And like Savini's like such a fucking, he's like, is he from Jersey? He has to be. I'm gonna look it up right now. If he's not, I'll be fucking shocked. Cause like he is the most like New York, New Jersey type of guy I've ever seen. Oh, dude,
he's from Pittsburgh.
Born in Pittsburgh. That's crazy. He just has that like Northeast Italian like love for telling stories. So like, they're like he tells like the longest story to explain how George allows him to do different makeup effects. But it's like this long elaborate story. He's like but it's sweet, man. He's like young and George is young. And it's a cool thing. But one thing oh, what?
Oh, sorry. No. I was just going to say, just watching these the way that I'm watching them to like deep dive into George, I've always appreciated Tom. I've met Tom. He's a super, super good guy, and I've always appreciated George, but like, they're fucking the greatest. Like, they are the fucking greatest. And doing what they're doing, how they did it and like how they filmed it and the budget that they had. I mean, I know he had more for Dawn of the Dead, but I mean, they're the fucking greatest of all time, in my opinion. And George just seems like you brought up those filmmakers and him just being like, yeah, you can film me.
Yeah.
He seemed like the most humble dude. Like he never gave a shit. Like he just wanted to make his art. And as we'll talk about with Knightriders, like he just does what he fucking wants to do.
It's crazy.
For that. Yeah.
Dude, he has a well. He invented fucking zombies. He could literally just coast on that forever. And instead, he still will do Dawn of the Dead and then be like, you know what I want to do next?
Fucking Knightriders, which I'll give a hint to my opinion. I don't dislike it, but I don't love it, right? I don't love Knightriders, but I legitimately respect him for making arguably the greatest zombie movie of all time, and then being like, you know what? I'm going to make another movie and make it longer and also not be horror and just make it however I want.
An interest that no one wants. Man. No one wants this movie. No one asked for this movie.
And like people must love working with him, right? Because he just keeps getting the same people, and like he's not working with Hollywood stars up until Creepshow. Creepshow is the only time, the first time that he just is like, I'm gonna get big name people to be in this. But before that, he's working with nobodies.
Yeah,
like, he's working with people that most of the time don't even go on to be in other films, and he's just getting great performances out of them. And I mean, he's like, honestly watching these, like I said, I've always felt like I enjoyed George, but watching them now all in a row, I'm like, this guy is the greatest. Like he should be studied.
I agree with that. And you talked about Savini, and there's probably a better sports thing, but it's almost like a little bit like Belichick Brady-ish. It's like, although I think that script ended up flipping where we thought Brady needed Belichick, and it turns out Brady just does whatever the fuck he wants. But
but they are a great 1-2 punch.
It is. It's when you put them together, it's just like crazy shit fucking happens. And Tom, from all accounts, is putting it all on the line, doing all the stunts, like doing the stunt work. Dude, I saw
more in Knight Rider. How did nobody die in Knight Rider? And how is Tom doing this? How is Tom doing these stunts?
Not only that, in the document of the dead, they show, you know when Savini's character gets shot and he fucking falls over the fucking railing?
Yes.
They showed how that stunt got made. This would never fly on a Hollywood set. Joe, he just jumped off the fucking railing onto 2 mattresses that were on, dude, literally 2 fucking mattresses, like the old spring ones. It's fucking 78 spring mattresses that were just on top of a bunch of cardboard boxes. He dove off of no fucking lanyard or anything. He dove off a fucking railing in a mall and did that. And I was like, and everyone's like, woo! And I was like, this is so insane. And Savini just like gets up and is like, yeah, good job. And I'm like,
I mean, I fucking love Tom for this. Like, dude, not only is
he nuts,
like probably the greatest makeup, like special effects artist for horror of all time, right? But nobody talks about his stunts like that. And it's probably honestly therapeutic for him. Like, he just comes back from Vietnam. He was a photographer. Yeah. He's seen terrible, terrible shit. And he's just like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just going to do this. Like, I'm just going to go, like, I'm just going to do things and have fun and have no fear, like no reservations. And it carries over. And I like him in acting roles in these Romero movies. Like, I think he's good in front of the camera.
I do too. That's actually one of my things I want to say is like, I probably just clowned on him just because I knew who he was. Like, when you talk to somebody that like, you usually watch these movies with somebody that doesn't know all the details. So you could be like, oh, that's Tom Savini. He's a fucking special effects guy. You know what I mean? Like, you kind of like clown on him. He's a good fucking actor. Like, I really like him.
I mean, George, like I said, George gets these people to give good performances. Dawn, he gets good performances out of nobodies. But Ken Foray, when he is on the screen, it is very clear how much better of an actor he is than like everybody else.
Light years beyond.
Dude, there are times you're just like, holy shit. And I'm not even talking about like the other main characters. No, but there's one scene in particular in the beginning where Ken is talking and he is so convincing in what he's saying. And then some like army guy comes in and he's just like, hey, what's going on here? Just like, holy shit. Like that guy, I could have delivered that line, you know? So in some of these movies, some of the extras at least, these are amateurs.
Well, they're town folk, man. They're town folk.
They are town folk. Yeah.
Fucking crazy.
Ken blows people away. Ken is great.
I loved, Romero also mentioned about filming this. He was like, I love filming in Pittsburgh. I mean, this is kind of insulting to Pittsburgh, but again, it's the time too. So it's 78. But so there's no internet or mass media like that. And Romero was like, filming in Pittsburgh is so you're so separated from the real world. It's almost like a throwback town at that point. So it's you're not up with technology or the current trends, or no one's like, oh, that looks like shit. Everyone's like, holy cow, we're making a movie here. And it's it's the most cheap rig of all time. It's amateur making, even in Dawn. Even though he has more money, they're filming from 8 p.m. to 7 a.m. every night when the mall closes. They can't film during the day. They have to run in, get everything ready, do the makeup, and get the fucking show on the road and film till 7 a.m. and with amateur equipment and shit. And it's
and they had more time. They made a hard stop at the time that they did, and that was their decision because they're we're just we don't have a cleanup crew. We have to do this ourselves, so we have to give ourselves time.
Exactly.
Get the fuck out of here.
Exactly. It's fucking nuts. Savini's just fucking spraying blood everywhere and fucking everyone has to clean it up afterwards, which I'm sure everyone loved. Especially, and then I found out they ad-lib a lot of stuff. So George will film, and this is why he makes fucking 4-hour movies. He'll film his script. He'll film his fucking script and then fucking be like, let's just film some stuff. And then they'll just film scenes that he's thinking of. And imagine you're the writer, director, and editor, which he was. Imagine that. That would be so sick because you can add that shit on the fly. He has a vision for sure. And the only other thing I want to mention from that documentary, and we don't have to get into the super details of Dawn, but he I don't even know what I was going to say now. I forgot my fucking place. Fuck.
It's all good.
I already talked about the Pittsburgh thing. I don't know. There was something else in the documentary he mentioned.
If you think of it, we'll circle back to it.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll come back.
Something I wanted to mention about the trilogy and just watching these three for the show, and I'm probably the last person on earth to realize this. And I'm also going to say something about Knightriders. And as I thought of this, I was I'm either reading too far into this or I'm the last person on earth to deduce this. So it could be one or the other. But the original Dead trilogy works so well because Night of the Living Dead introduces a concept of zombies, right? It's the first time anybody's ever seeing these reanimated, cannibalistic, in a sense, zombies. Dawn of the Dead shows us how people are dealing with it in the present. This idea just got introduced, and now these people are well, fuck, we have to survive, right? And then Day of the Dead shows us how people are just living. It's just an everyday thing now. People have just come to terms with it, and this is our life now. This is how we're living and coping with it. And I just fucking love that 3-story arc transition, from a human sense.
Now, so somebody called it, a trilogy, which it is ish, right? Can you separate 3 movies out of 6 and call it a trilogy? I think you can. Because I feel it's 2 different stories, right?
You do it with Star Wars, right? You could do the Star Wars trilogy, the first one, and then you have the episodes, and Yeah, you can judge them separately.
Okay, I like that. Because they really are different trilogies. I think there's 2 trilogies in this in George Romero's catalog. But also, man, can you imagine we talk about this concept a lot now on this most recent run, which is the way people would react today to this shit. You saw Night of the Living Dead and you're you see the trailer for Dawn of the Dead and you're probably holy shit, he's back. He's going to do a second one. You're so pumped. Yeah. And then they start throwing pies at the fucking zombies in the mall. And you're probably the fuck is this? And it's in color. And I'm not even saying this is a bad thing, but it's just this movie, he did a sequel that looked nothing like the original, played nothing like the original. Right. Nothing at all is even like resembling his first movie, and he's like, "This is the second movie." Which
there's nothing up. There's nothing up to Martin that indicates George would make something like Dawn of the Dead, right? Like,
no.
Even in the beginning, and I know I'm kind of going off of your point, but I'm just like,
no, it's okay.
You're right. Like it has nothing to do in terms of a sequel. It looks nothing like the first one, right?
Right.
And this movie starts off without even zombies. It's just a raid on a complex because people are fighting back against the martial law that's imposed.
Yes.
It's one of the goriest, bloodiest shootouts like you'll see, right? Like period. It's not even the zombie part. And it's just like, how did George go from Night of the Living Dead and then everything up to Martin and then just come out with this balls to the wall? It's fucking crazy.
It's fucking nuts, man. It's fucking wild. I love everything he does in this. Did you watch the one on Plex, the 139-minute?
I did.
So that's the director's cut. That is the full director's cut. I'll wait till the ending. But it's still a long movie, even at the edited version. I think even the edited one is over 2 hours. But this one's 2 hours and 19 minutes. So it's a long movie. It feels a little. I don't know how to say this. It feels almost like three different stories, this movie. I always like. Not that I forget, but I'm like, oh yeah, like this movie is like, you have the cops, you have the pilot and his girlfriend, Steven, right? That's a whole thing. It feels like really separate movies sometimes that I'm watching.
He's not even a pilot. He's a fucking traffic reporter. Who just
right.
They call him Flyboy.
Flyboy, which is the name of a character in Day of the Dead also, but that's okay. But it feels like separate movies almost, like when they go to the gas station, like the original cop opening, the gas station, and then the mall. And then on top of the mall, there's the end of the movie where the bikers show up. And it's like, oh, this is like 4 different movies almost.
Yeah, it's a 3-part story arc, right? Or 4-part story arc is.
Yeah, and it's a little bit slower than I remembered. Not in a bad way. It's just very Romero, right? Like, he does that, man. He shows you the day to fucking day in these movies. That's why they're fucking, maybe that's why they hit, because you're like.
I think that is like the key, and I think that's why Romero's good, because if somebody else was to do that doesn't have the talent Romero has, you'd be like, why are you fucking showing me these guys spying on suits in a mall? Like, what are we doing? Right? But he somehow pulls it off, and like I don't know what it is that makes it work. I guess it's the pacing and the editing, and something about them doing that just kind of hits home, or not hits home. I guess isn't the right phase, but like it just makes a bigger impact. That's like, these guys are fucked. These guys, are in like the worst situation ever, and like that's what I would be doing right now, right? You like, find a good spot to hide, and you're like, you know what? I'm here. I'm just going to raid every store and get everything that I want. And like, there's a point where they take money out of a drawer, and one of the characters, I think it might be Steven, looks, because I think he's looking at Ken, it's just like, what? He makes eye contact to say like, why are you doing that? And because the character is just like, you never know. Like, maybe we'll need it in like 2 weeks. And you're like, oh yeah, like maybe you will. Maybe this is just a passing phase. I just love like the little interactions that he puts in there.
It's really interesting. And the mall concept, I fucking love. I'm going to say something I regret already and insane. This is not really even a valid thought, because I haven't seen the remake in forever. I really like the remake.
A lot of people do.
And I think I might enjoy it more than I like this one.
Are you sure?
No.
Are you sure?
I might enjoy it. It's more, I don't know, and I'm not sure, by the way, because I was thinking about it, and I don't think I've seen it since theaters. But I'm going to rewatch it this week, because here's what I miss. I feel like they might have taken advantage of the mall idea a little bit better in the remake. I think they focused on the mall more. I think George's is fucking obviously a better movie, obviously. But I like the zany mall stuff the most.
Hey, you get the zany mall stuff. You get to watch guys go down a escalator, which Tom claims they put in guardrails because of this movie in malls, so nobody would ride down the escalator like that.
Is that true? Oh my god, that's fucking fun.
He can't prove it, but he's like, I think that's because of this movie.
Oh, maybe it is. No, I mean, I don't know. Well, tune into Patreon next week when I reveal that I'm a fucking idiot. Because
I'm going to watch it too, because I don't think I've watched it since it came out. I just remember Ving Rhames and Richard Cheese.
I remember Ving Rhames, Richard Cheese, and I believe Johnny Cash covering Danzig in the intro.
Is that true?
I think so. Or is it... No, it is Johnny Cash though. The White Horse song, and I heard there was a rider or whatever. There's a white horse, and on him was death. You know what I'm talking about? There's a man coming around taking.
The man
names.
comes to town.
Yeah. So it's not Danzig. It's not Danzig. But it is Johnny Cash. That's the intro, dude. And I remember that intro. The cold open of that movie hit so fucking hard with like the fucking zombies like attacking everyone in the suburbs.
Yeah, I mean, now it's coming back to me. I definitely don't agree, but
you just reminded me of everything.
But I am gonna watch it this week.
And isn't there a zombie baby in it?
It gets shot. Yeah, that's yeah.
All right. Well, I might just take it back now. Dawn worked on a $640,000 budget and made $66 million fucking dollars. Finally, Georgie got his money, and
now he has his name on it. He's not going to get fucked.
Give it up for fucking George. Give a round of sound for George. Yes. He fucking, God bless him. He finally got his fucking money. This poor fucking guy. And hey, maybe he doesn't get maybe he never even makes Dawn if fucking Night of the Living Dead wasn't as accessible as it was to literally everybody.
You were saying, I don't remember if it was Patreon or the beginning of this episode, but you were saying how like, why didn't Hollywood just retroactively be like, blah, blah. Maybe that is their version of retroactively giving him his due. Just being like, you know what? You made this zombie movie and everybody's ripping you off and people are putting scenes of your movie in their own movies because it's public domain. Like, here's your fucking budget. Do it again and do it bigger and let's go from there.
Yeah. Like, you could fucking do this for sure. The movie's...
I think we get like desensitized, and I know we get desensitized, and if you didn't watch Dawn of the Dead in 1978, you can't really make a claim one way or the other. But I will say that my uncle has always, since I was a kid, told me that Dawn of the Dead is the scariest movie he's ever seen, which watching it now, you're like, that can't be true. It's not the scariest. Like, it's a cool movie, right? But like, if you try and put yourself in his shoe, and like you're a kid or a young teen in 1978, and these people are just ripping others apart, and you're trapped in the mall, and you're just hopeless. Like, where are they going to go in that helicopter? Dude, it's fucking everywhere. You're stuck in a mall. You have to fight zombies. You have to fight bikers. You have to fight other people. Like, and then you could turn into a zombie yourself. I get it. I get why people thought this was terrifying.
I mean, I think even like as a young person, like thinking about. I mean, even like now, if you, there is a desensitization, with like horror. I think we've like, I don't want to say all the way, but like you have to, feel like you have to like think a little bit harder now when you watch these movies to like be like, oh yeah, that is a fucking scary concept. The scariest thing to me is like them having to make these decisions, even to be like, should we go into the mall right now? And then be like, I'm sorry, I don't have any of the character names, but the woman is like, you guys are fucking insane. Like, that's
Francine, the fly girl.
Yeah. And she's like, you guys are fucking nuts. Like, why would you fucking do that? And they're like, well, we need fucking supplies. Like, maybe we stay here. And like thinking about that is fucking crazy because it's like, yeah, sure, the mall's fun, but sitting in that room for what, a year is like what they're maybe considering. Like, that sounds fucking awful.
Yeah.
Sounds like the worst fucking thing that could ever fucking happen. Like, everyone.
He's also showing you how, like, That's your takeaway.
Yeah.
I mean, you would run out of toilet paper pretty fast after a year. Right?
Bro, that would be so fucking gross. And then you'd have to dude, you'd have
George
to
did not think about the hygiene aspect.
You'd have to reserve one of the stores for the shit and piss room. And then that would fill up eventually. Oh my God.
Well, they would have a bathroom. The malls have a bathroom.
But is water running?
Shit in the store. Well, who turned it off? I mean, they're all fucking dead or zombies. Nobody's turning off the water.
Okay, fair.
Nobody. You don't have to pay them anymore, right?
I feel like you'll run out of water eventually, though. I don't know.
That can't be a thing, right? It's just
just shows
they turn it off for you.
Yeah, but it's coming from I don't know. We are not.
Actually, yeah. This. I don't know how that works. Maybe you're right. Maybe
two people just making up water.
Shh. Dude, a shit room in the mall.
Dude, okay, let's say worst case scenario, you still need shit room in the mall. And also think about it, depending on how long you're gonna stay there, you're not cleaning the bathroom, right? You're going down there to shit.
Yes, you're not. I mean,
you're not cleaning.
There's not going to be any bleaching.
No. So it's gonna dude, a year of 4 people shitting in the bathroom. It's
honestly, a shit room would probably be more hygienic.
I'm thinking it might be. It'll look like CBGB's bathroom eventually.
Dude, you couldn't pay me.
Even the fucking zombies would be like, come on. This is out of fucking control. You people are disgusting.
That's why Bubs became sentient in Day of the Dead.
He's I can't live like this. He was chained up in the bathroom in the shit room. And he was like, good God. One thing that is interesting, I feel like his movies, they kind of I mean, I know they're in the same universe, obviously, but they kind of unspokenly tie into each other. This one opens up with them going over a farmhouse that is very similar to Night of the Living Dead, if not the same house. And the farmer army that was in the first one. So you kind of revisit that in this one, and you're oh, that's a cool little nod. Okay, we're in this world. And then this one ends, with the idea of the helicopter getaway or whatever. And then the next one, Day of the Dead, picks up in a helicopter, right?
Right.
And it's yes. It's not the same people, but I feel like it is a little bit. It's almost supposed to be, I feel like. It's almost we're going to continue, but it's a different story. You know what I mean? I feel like he did a great job of weaving them together a little bit like this. Yeah. But yeah, so Dawn, I mean, we obviously don't have to go super into it. I mean, there's just some crazy stuff that he tackles in this. The abortion concept in this, intense, man. And again, a scary fucking idea to think about. And they just throw that at you at the beginning of this movie where she's I'm fucking pregnant. And you're what the fuck? What do you fucking do?
I mean, the concept of bringing a kid into a world where this is happening is fucking terrifying on its own. That is terrifying.
And by the way, again, you mentioned this. Was it on the Patreon or was it on the episode where we talked about how everyone owes George for their work? But Walking Dead had that whole scenario with the baby, right? And it's this fucking movie.
Because of the public domain issue, nobody has to say inspired by George Romero, and I can't wait to get into Knightriders because there is things that aren't zombie related that Romero. Romero influenced so much fucking shit. It's insane.
Yeah. So he tackles that in that movie. What else there's a couple other notes I had on it. One thing I loved in it was the date night attempt in the middle of absolute chaos. And again, it's George showing the day-to-day shit, right? So Fly Boy and Fly Girl.
Yes.
Ken Foray sets up a date for them just to
yes.
Cause they're just having trouble and it's oh, that's so fucked.
I mean, and it like makes you think, like we're saying, like what would you do? The initial terror has already set in, and now you're just having to come to terms with this is our fucking life now. Like we have to like either go on, which we'll see at the end. They are contemplating not going on, and I know you said at the ending there's a dark turn. He toyed with that idea, like what is the point of going on? But they ultimately decide like they have to just continue with their day-to-day lives and try and do things that they would normally do if there wasn't a zombie apocalypse, but they just so happen to be doing it during one, which I love that detail.
I do too. And, you know, the bikers end up showing up and you have that kind of, it's the start of, and I mean, they did this in Night of the Living Dead smaller. It seems like they scale up every time, right? So like Dawn of the Dead or Night of the Living Dead, you just had the guy in the basement who was the outlier who was like, no, fuck this.
Yeah.
Like, then in this one, you have your crew for the whole movie. And then we get a little glimpse into these people that are kind of taking advantage of the chaos in the world. And the bad guys, though, just fucking bad guys. So we see them and they enter the mall and because they're like, they see our crew over there and they're like, I think they wanted the helicopter really, but, great scenes.
Yeah, that's Romero's MO. It's like the zombies are villains, but also humans are pieces of shit too. And then really just as much.
Yeah. And then like what you were saying in Day, then we stack it up a little bit more where there's no longer the bad guys are the good guys. Now the people that have survived are the survivors. Like we're past the point of like,
this is life now.
This is life, and like the fucking like the people that survived are probably not the best people, and they're in positions of power now.
That's a great point. They survived because they're
fucking psycho assholes, and now they're running everything. They're running the fucking whatever this world looks like now. So they're no longer. It's not just bikers that are like you have to watch out for. Like. They're telling you what to do. They're your fucking boss. Like they run the fucking camp or whatever you want to fucking call it. And it's intense, man.
Day incorporates the shit talking of zombies, which I appreciate because every character is just like, hey, you fucking stupid piece of shit, screaming in zombie faces.
Stupid dead bastard. Yeah, no, it's insane. I fucking love it. That guy. I will talk about it when we get there, but I fucking love
it. Real quick, how old do you think David MG, however you say it, was in Dawn of the Dead? Stephen Flyboy Andrews. How old do you think he was? If you had to give a rough guess.
40?
Okay. So I posted a meme this week about the guy in Beverly Hills Cop.
Yes, which is so funny, yeah.
37 when he was in that role. I mean, he looks like he's on fucking deathbed. Stephen Flyboy Andrews, the actor, is 32 in this movie.
That's insane.
Which is nuts. That is
younger than
old
me.
Ass man.
That's fucking
5 years younger than us. That is an old ass man.
That's fucking funny. Yeah, and by the way, Dawn ends with some of the most insane gore ever, just ripping the bikers apart and the fucking intestines. Nothing George has done to this point yet.
Disgusting.
Fucking insane. And now you see Savini. Yeah.
Holds up.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And Savini is just like, he blows up after this movie also, and it's well worth it because those were for sure organs, right? Like that was fucking insane. Like those people were torn apart. Like I that was nuts. But ultimately,
there's a biker that gets ripped apart because he is checking his blood pressure. Did you notice that?
Yeah, we talked. Actually, now that you say that, we definitely talked about that on
the first time.
First time, because
every
it's the
time
most
I watch
insane
that,
clip.
It blows my mind,
dude. Because in the middle of chaos,
that's the thing that kills me about that scene is that like if he was just doing it because he was in a mall and he didn't realize there were zombies behind him, I get it. But there is zombies within eyesight, like it. There's impending doom. He's checking his blood pressure.
He's like running from them and is like, wait a minute, and then like puts his arm in. It would actually be kind of cool if he was in it and then chaos broke and he couldn't get his fucking arm out because it was like pressurized.
Right. Yeah.
But instead he's like running from them and is like, wait, hey, hang on, I gotta get this reading real fast.
My health comes first.
My health comes first. My doctor's gonna be really fucking chapped if I don't watch his blood pressure, guys.
My hypertension will get the best of
me. And it ends with them escaping. They get to the roof. They escape via helicopter, but we do know that they are low on fuel, and their future is very uncertain. And it kind of just ends that way. Now,
Ken Foray's character was going to kill himself.
Dude,
gun to his head.
Yes. So the original ending, which he claims he shot, but there's no evidence that he shot it. It wasn't shot, by the way. It definitely wasn't shot. Because Savini made some props, and then they ended up using them for different things. But they did film, they filmed like a walkthrough of it. So, yes. Original screenplay, Peter, Ken Foray, Francine, Fly Girl, were both going to kill themselves. Peter was going to shoot himself in the fucking helicopter. And Fran was going to... This is the most insane thing.
Her fucking head into the helicopter blades, which they foreshadowed in this movie because it happens at one point with a zombie, I believe.
Yes. And then, but what I love about this ending, I don't really love the fucking suicides, but what I love about the ending is they had turned on the helicopter because they didn't know how much gas they had. Ken shoots himself, she kills herself. And then as the credits would roll, as the blades were spinning, and then they would stop. Like really like midway through the credits. So that way they weren't going to get anywhere. They were going to fucking crash and die. And it's like, that is like a fucking, what a
dark.
Fucking dark ending. Yeah. And they save a lot of the darkness for Day of the Dead. But, yeah. But, an additional scene showing, oh yeah, no, that was what we had already talked about. Romero had stated that the original ending was scraped before being shot, although behind-the-scenes photos show the original version was at least tested. Savini made the head exploding thing for the helicopter scene, and then they just randomly ended up using it during the SWAT raid when that... For no reason at the beginning of the movie, a cop's head fucking explodes.
Explodes. And we arguably get, in that beginning scene, Wooly is the character's name, played by James Bafico. He's in Silver Bullet, and... we'll see him again in Knightriders as also a piece of shit.
Yeah.
He is a Hall of Fame fucking asshole. Like he's one of the worst characters in movie history as Wooly. Just a racist piece of shit who does not want to kill zombies. He just wants to kill minorities in a sense. Like that's all he cares about. And he's dropping racial slurs every 2 seconds. And thank God Ken finally fucking shoots him in the head.
Yeah.
And then we get introduced to the zombies.
And like
I say, he's in Knight Rider, dude. He's the dad.
Yes.
The daughter's like, you fucking fat slob. And every time he's on the screen since then, he's like, oh, I can't believe she called me a fat slob. He's the fattest slob I've ever seen in a movie.
Least surprising thing of all time. So let's get into Knightriders. Now we're gonna cover Knightriders and Day of the Dead. Obviously it's not going to be as long because we're already an hour in, but we're also going to talk about Creepshow just a little bit because we have a live show on that coming up. So we're just going to touch on it because that was 82. But we're not going to go into details. We'll save the details for the live show. Cause that'll be fun. Dawn of the Dead comes out 1978. Yes. He'll take, 3 years and then he's going to make Knightriders, which is a story of knights on motorcycles.
Yeah.
Which they call a Renaissance fair. That's not a Renaissance fair, guys.
It's not. It's a made up event that these guys are doing.
Real quick, is this?
I know it's coming. I'm excited.
A, do you recommend it? B, is this the most bizarre thing you've ever seen in your life?
Okay. Do I recommend it? I think that's more convoluted. So I don't love Knightriders, but I don't dislike it. I wouldn't be in a hurry to watch it again. But I do think if you've liked George's work, it's worth checking out just because of how bizarre it is. Yeah. And I mentioned the stunt work already. The stunt work is fucking insane. Like, there's one that just like sticks out in my mind where a guy gets jousted off a motorcycle and we watch his ass land on concrete hard. I'm like, that guy broke his fucking tailbone. There's no way that they made that guy. He's landing on actual concrete, and some of the other bumps that people are taking are fucking insane.
Yeah.
For what it is, I mean, it's a drama. There's nothing horror about this. It's a drama about this motorcycle jousting club and its leader like struggling with like maintaining his title as the king, which he's not a king. He's just a fucking
He's
idiot.
not a king at all. It's he made up the rules, so he. He could literally just make up a rule that he's king forever. I don't know why that, like, this issue could all be resolved with this king, because most of the time he is doing whatever the fuck he wants. So, and not listening to everyone.
So I guess I think I said this already, but I may be really. It's a very thin line. I may be either stretching it here, or I may be the last person on Earth that's seen Knight Rider to make this connection. But I really think it's a commentary on like George's career in a sense, because we have a small independent group doing their own thing, and they're refusing to pay off people. And then this guy comes, what's his name? Like Bontempi or whatever. Yeah. And he's like big Hollywood, and he's like, come with me. And the guy's like, no, I'm going to stay here and like do my own thing. And others in his crew are like, I'm going to go Hollywood. I'm going Hollywood. Like, I'm going big. And they get there and they're like, you know what? This fucking sucks. Like, I'm going back to the small independent route. And I think it was like a parallel to what George is doing, because he has stayed true to himself and he's not going Hollywood and he's like doing independent movies. And I don't know. I kind of think that's an allegory he was trying to make there.
I really like that. I think you're onto something there. And he's definitely doing his own thing with Knightriders. That's
Knightriders. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It's like so meta that's the theme of this, and that he's doing Knightriders, because people probably were throwing him tons of money to do like ridiculously big Hollywood movies. And he's like, nah, I'm just going to do Knightriders.
Yeah. Yeah. And Ed Harris is in this movie.
His first leading role.
I was going to ask that, because he had 2 movies before, but yeah, just as nothing.
I think the one right before this was like a bigger role, but not, he wasn't the star. So
bigger movie, smaller role. He was the big fish in Knightriders.
Yes. Yep. It's King Billy, aka King William.
Which is so nuts. This is so fucking nuts. It's so fucking nuts. You know what? And I do think you're right with this parallel, because I think there's parallels in this too with George in other ways too. One thing is, like, kids are like, King Billy, you're the best. Sign my Cycle World magazine. And for some reason, he's on the cover of Cycle World. And King Billy is like, I didn't fucking ask for this. Like, I didn't want to be this guy. And he might be talking about horror movies. Like, all the horror fans being like, you're the greatest. And him being like, I just want to make fucking movies. Like,
dude, I completely agree, because he has King Billy say at that point, being like, I'm not Jim Jones or Charles Manson. Like, don't make me a hero. Like, I'm not leading a cult. I'm just doing this like for me. Like,
I'm just making shit. Yeah. I just want to he just wants to do what he wants to do.
I agree, man.
He doesn't want to be a cyclist he doesn't want to be evil. Well, that seems weird, because he compares himself to 2 cult leaders and then Evel Knievel. And I'm like, and by a cult. This man is running a cult.
He's definitely a cult leader, and fucking he couldn't be farther from Evel Knievel. He rides around on a dirt bike with a stick.
They don't have any airtime whatsoever. They just ride both wheels down constantly and just throw shit at you, use real maces on each other. It's the most insane shit. And the police are the bad guys, which is hilarious, because, well, it's so funny because the police are like, we're going to bust you for fucking pot. We're going to bust you for fucking smoking weed. They could for sure just arrest them for fucking assault. Like, they're riding around with fucking weapons on their bikes. Granted, they're doing it to each other, but just break it up.
I thought the same thing. Weapons charge would have been the easier route instead of planting weed, because that's what the guy does. He plants weed there, and all the cop wants is a bribe to stay there. And King Billy, literally everyone in the camp is like, just fucking pay the guy. Like, he'll just leave us alone. And Billy's like, I have morals and standards.
Billy sucks, honestly, kind of. This movie is like one of the most bizarre things I've ever watched
in Hollywood history, right?
Movie history. Like, dude, it's like fucking crazy that this exists, and it's crazy that no one fucking talks about this movie because it's a 2.5 hour marathon, dude. And at an hour and a half, it ends with that one guy, like fucking, I forget the guy's name. He was like the younger knight. There's so many characters too, dude.
Alan
fucking is like, you know what, guys? I'm settling down. I'm done with this life. I thought that was the end of the movie, and I checked, and there was an hour left.
The pacing in this one is probably the hardest because there are so many times that the movie could have ended, and you're like, what is going on here? Like, you have to deal with the cops. You have to deal with the title of, like, losing the title of the king. You have to deal with infighting. You have to deal with that other guy, Bontempi, coming and being like, join my squad. It's like, what?
And it's, again, the day-to-days of this troop, but there's just so little excitement. It's just a bunch of delinquents, like, hanging out, and, like, there's nothing at stake except this one cop. All they have to do is leave town because they are a traveling troop. And the problem's resolved.
Go to the next fucking town. There is nothing that is keeping them there, right? There's nothing that they have that says they have to be there. Also, King Billy, as you said, makes every rule. So he could just be like, well, we could just go to this here. And everyone would follow him.
It's so psycho. I've like never seen anything like this. And it's very like
But you have. But
I have. Very similar to the cults present in our hometown growing up, where people make you pay fines for not wearing cleats to a fake wiffle ball game.
We talk about wiffle ball often, and we talk about the person who owns the quote-unquote field, which you have to address it as, even though it's just a backyard that he straight paints lines on. The similarities, and there's nobody that's going to understand this except for me and Sean, but the similarities between that person and King Billy are fucking alarming.
It's scary.
Sean messaged me and was like, there's a part that I heard that I had to like rewind, and I knew what it was immediately. And it was King Billy issuing fines, which is a thing that this guy tried to do in his backyard for his wiffle ball league, even though it's just 4 people playing. Which he writes up rules for, and he tries to enact fines if you like don't do something the way that he wants to, and actually expects people to pay him. And everyone's just like, I'm not fucking paying you. This is hanging out with you. You invited me over to your house. And then he gets all pissy.
And that's exactly what happens in this movie. It was so insane that like I had to stop the movie because I've never met a human being on earth that did this, where you have this tight little group. They're all buds. They're all, I mean, there's some like you said, there's some drama in between, but they're all buds mostly. There's not enough guys there to make it like weird. And like, so
yeah,
you're just finding your friends that you've been traveling with for fucking ages for breaking rules that like no one seems to even like remember or give a shit about.
You held a council without everybody here, which is 1000% something that would happen at the quote unquote wiffle ball.
Oh, I'm like
90% talking with them.
It has happened. I think you had to show up for like the draft.
And again, there's only 6 people that play there.
Right.
It's the same 6 people. So yes, you are correct. Fuck it. All them being tight-knit friends too is alarming because at the end, King Billy gives away his girl to his friend, to his best friend. Just like, well, here's the crown, and here's also my girl that I love. You can have it.
Which is also insane because that's Alan, right? Alan gets that girl. But
Alan gets the girl, yes.
Alan also has a girlfriend who he courts the entire movie. And then is like,
he drops her back off at home.
And then is like, yeah, you're going to get the fuck out of here.
Because she's the one who has the fat slob dad who was Wooly in Dawn of the Dead. And the entire movie, they are like head over heels for each other.
Head over heels.
And he's like, you know what? I love Queen Lynette, who Queen Lynette is like fond of this guy, but it was nothing more than just these guys have been traveling and this guy is best buds with King Billy. So why wouldn't she be? But then at the end, Billy's like, I'm stepping down. You guys can have everything. And Lynette's like, okay, I'm fine with that.
It's so weird.
Have you watched Sons of Anarchy?
I haven't, but I know about the end of the fucking show.
Dude, Sons of Anarchy owes everything to Knightriders. The motorcycle gang, Jax being the leader, is very similar to King Billy.
Yeah.
And then that end scene, like, honestly blew my mind. I was like, I cannot believe Sons of Anarchy ended their show based exactly off the ending of fucking Knightriders.
The fucking...
Dude, that is insane. That is insane. It's not a coincidence. Like they watch Knightriders. They're like, I'm ending my show like this. It's scene for scene. Like, it's crazy.
And I only know that because like a fan of the show watched it and was like, "Have you ever seen this?" And I was like, "No." And she sent it to me, and I was like, "What the fuck is this?"
Dude, it's the same. I could not believe it.
Yeah, an insane ending where Ed Harris rides off into the sunset directly into the fucking front of a fucking truck.
Into a fucking Mack truck on his dirt bike.
And again, in typical Romero fashion, I mean, aside from him kind of the theme being independent artists, he's also tackling issues again, like he always does in these movies. An openly homosexual character is in this, that they tried
struggling with like coming out, right?
Right. And like, I was like, holy fuck, dude, when that scene happened, I was like, okay, there's no way this character is going to be gay, because this is like, if he was gay in the movie, that would mean like they're actually like doing a little homework about this. And like, cause they tease him, right? They're teasing him about being gay. And, you know, usually when that happens, they're like, go fuck yourself. I'm not gay. And that's the end of that. Right. But in this one, it went a little deeper and I was like, oh man, is this guy actually going to be gay? And he is. And I was like, that makes that so much cooler. That makes that scene so much fucking cooler. Cause in the 80s, it was always just like, he's fucking gay. And it's like, no, I'm not. And that was the end of it. And
yeah, it's like, it was a punchline, right? But
it was a punchline.
I thought he handled it well. Like it was like organic and like I felt for the guy. Like he was struggling with coming to terms with who he is, and then you know dealing with people like accusing him and not wanting to be open about it. And I don't know. And fucking Knightriders of all movies, I thought
Knightriders. And in 1981, I think they're portraying the way people would have treated you accurately, and like that situation, which was like, they're not kind about it, but like also the country was like just kind of like coming to terms with this, like, and understanding it, and like as a big whole, you know? So it was like, oh fuck, like everyone was learning about it at the time. And for him to include it like that, I thought he did a really fucking good job. And I mean, you know, I'm a straight person saying that. So I hope everyone agrees, but, you know, it's a weird. I couldn't believe that was in there. And interracial dating is discussed in this, and just that less. It just kind of brought up casually, but even that, he was like just talking about how cruel like the outside world is. All of this was kind of like to show that the troop was like a safe space almost for these people. Like
yeah.
And it was more the towns that they visited that were the fucking shit. Like that, and again, it's a very pro cult movie. I'm gonna be fucking honest.
It is very pro cult. Yeah, Ed Harris is a cult leader.
And dude, like the first and the movie's so long. The first 2 hours of the movie is very much like the benefits of the cult are the best. Like, because there's all these scenes where it's like, yeah, when I went out in town, they would call me all these terrible names or treat me poorly, but in the cult, they treat me good. And I was like, oh, this is a weird fucking message. But I think it was George trying to say, like, in their weird little world.
Yeah.
George's world. Yeah. In George's world, that's how they're treated.
Question for you. We talked about Sons of Anarchy ripping this off.
Yeah.
You're familiar with Return of the Jedi, correct?
Yes, yes.
You know when Princess Leia is Jabba the Hutt's slave?
Yeah.
In that slave outfit?
Yes.
They ripped that off from Tom Savini's slave outfit. That's because there's a scene where he's taking a photo and he's posed like Leia, because Leia, that movie came out 2 years after this. Yeah. He is posed in the sex slave outfit that Princess Leia is in Return of the Jedi. He has like the same codpiece and everything. It was fucking insane.
Wait, why is that a thing? Dude, this movie is nuts. This movie is so crazy. My favorite scene in the movie, though, has to go to... Well, yeah, my favorite scene in the movie has to be when they're doing a performance, somebody loses control of their motorcycle, which then proceeds to ride by itself directly towards a baby in a stroller, and the mom's like, no, and goes to try to save the baby. Fun fact, misses the baby, hits the mom. And probably like an all-time moment in the movie. This movie is deadly serious, though, and very dramatic, and not at all made for children. The concept is a children's movie, though.
Yeah.
Right? Like, this is like Knights of the Round Table, like...
It's very Arthurian. Yes.
Yeah. They need to just do that. I think we should do
second question for you.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
There's two correct answers here.
Okay.
What are the two most disgusting scenes in this movie? Disgusting.
Anything with fucking anything.
Say it. That's one answer.
Anything with Little John? Is it Little John or no? Not Little John.
I thought you were going somewhere else.
Oh, no. What the fuck is that guy's name? It's not Little John, is it? No. Who's the Friar Tuck?
The Friar Tuck? With the pizza?
Yes.
Okay, that is one of the answers that I was going for. When he is tongue kissing that girl with pizza in their mouth and the cheese is falling all over her tits, her exposed tits, it is so fucking vile. It's one of the most vile things I've seen in a movie. And they are literally tongue kissing with pizza in their mouth. Why is that happening?
They end up going on like a 3-day fuck binge. It's insane. And Ed Harris shows up and takes the pizza out, pissed off. He to punish them, he takes their pizza.
Dude, that's like why they leave camp. That's why they go with the other guy. The other guy, Bontempi, who by the way is famously the guy who dies taking a shit in Jurassic Park on the toilet. He looks exactly the same, but yeah, they leave because they're mad because he takes the pizza away from them. But that scene, the fact that they filmed that, I've never that's so gross. That's so fucking gross.
Fucking disgusting.
And there's one other acceptable answer.
What was the other one?
Anyone with fucking Hoagie Man, aka Stephen King, and his wife Tabitha in it.
Oh,
who Stephen King is eating a hoagie, which he wasn't credited as Hoagie Man in the American release, but overseas, I forget what country they had him listed as Hoagie Man. There's one scene where he takes a bite of a hoagie and he's just talking, and you see all the food in his mouth and it's all spraying out everywhere. It is so fucking disgusting.
Why was Stephen King loved being disgusting on film, and it fit his face so well. He was just unbelievable on film.
Yeah.
And is this their first collab, Stephen King and George Romero?
Yeah, so the reason he's in this is because they were working on Creepshow.
Oh, okay, cool. That's cool.
Or they're getting ready to start it, so that's why he was on set.
He was like, want to film me eating a fucking hoagie?
I honestly respect him a little bit for that, because he's just like, I'll be a fucking idiot in the crowd, just
dude,
absolutely
weird. Absolutely. I was thinking we should do a charity event where we watch Knightriders on loop for 24 hours.
Holy shit.
Which is only
we'd only watch it twice.
Which is only Dude, this is one of the longest movies I've ever sat through. It was crazy.
Dude, the first cut, did you read that fact of the first cut of Knightriders?
Yes.
It's 17 hours. The first cut is 17 hours. That's fucking ridiculous.
George is such a menace. It's how he can.
Also, Tony Todd, Morgan Freeman, and Lawrence Fishburne were considered for the roles. And I want to know why Morgan... Well, actually, I don't want to know why, because I know why Morgan Freeman turned that down. He probably took one look at the script and was like, the fuck out of here.
What the fuck are we talking about here? What the fuck is this movie about? This movie also reminded me a little bit, last thing I'm going to say is, it reminded me of that scene in Step Brothers where the dad's like, I wanted to be a dinosaur when I grow up. And Brendan and Dale are like, why the fuck would you want to do that? I feel like Uncle Georgie here was like, I want to make a movie about knights on motorcycles. And everyone was like, that's the dumbest shit I've ever fucking heard. Like, what are you fucking saying? Like, you're a really talented guy. And he's like, I just want to write. It's about guys on motorcycles just dealing with each other.
That is like the biggest highlight of this movie, is that this is like the ultimate passion project. Like, so what are you going to follow up with, George? This. I'm going to guys in spandex and jousting each other. And I love George because he always has like a strong female lead, right?
Yeah,
and there's one of the knights in there that is a woman who just completely kicks ass. Like she's the best of the best. And like, the fact that he just got all these people to agree to it, like I think I said at the beginning of this, just speaks volumes to how awesome George must have been to work with. Because there's no way Ken Foray, like after coming off the success of Dawn of the Dead, being like, if you got that call from George being like, hey, you want to get together again? You'd be like, yeah, fuck yeah, I do. Like, what are we going to do? And then hearing that and then agreeing to that.
You're going to play Little John. Oh my God, are we doing Robin Hood? We're remaking Robin Hood, George? That's fucking great. An edgy Robin Hood. No. For some reason, we're using Robin Hood character names for some of you.
Even though it's Arthurian. There's no Lancelot. No Sir Galahad. Just there is a Merlin.
There's a Merlin for sure. Everyone else is named after Robin Hood, and Hoagie Man. Hoagie Man is different also. But don't worry, we just come on and do this again.
Dude, the guy who plays Merlin, he goes by the name Brother Blue.
Yes.
Super interesting life story. He's a World War II vet. He's a Harvard graduate, and he was known as like the most famous street storyteller in Boston. Like, you would just find him on corners in Boston, just like telling stories, and he was like a well-known figure on that scene.
That's cool, man. He was interesting in the movie too. It's cool to see that his lifestyle like mirrored that.
Yeah, I don't think he was acting.
No, I don't. Yeah, I'm looking at a picture of him right now. He looks more insane.
He's Merlin.
He looks more insane.
He's Merlin.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, Knightriders.
So, first episode, for continuity's sake, yes, we rated the movies. So, what do you rate Dawn of the Dead?
Oh, 4.5 out of 5.
All right, that's fine. I give it a 5, but 4.
I'm just the only reason. Can I tell you the only reason I'm not is,
of course, it's our show.
The only reason I'm not is I really like Day of the Dead, man.
I have some things to say on that. Yes.
I think, and it might be the cut. It might be a nice hour 40 that I loved on that, and what they accomplished in that hour 40. Short and sweet. It was fucking perfect, man. And I think I have to kind of set that as like the standard for that, for George, because to me, besides Night of the Living Dead, so far, Day was like the pacing, the fucking story, the characters. It's bleaker for sure. It's like probably not as fun to watch as Dawn, but I think it might be I don't want to say a better movie. More of my favorite for sure.
I'm fine with that. I give Dawn a 5, but
so that's how if you had asked me before, I would have said Dawn 5, Day 4, and I think it's flipped now. The effects too in Day is fucking light years. Like they fucking transcend.
Took what they did in Dawn and they just rolled with the momentum, right?
Dude, it was crazy. So Dawn is 78. By the way, let's give credit to Dawn too. still guerrilla filmmaking. That movie was made in it would have been made in 77. That looks early, mid-80s quality.
Yes.
That's fucking good quality for a fucking movie that was made in 78. It's actually kind of shocking. Way ahead of its time. Knightriders. What are we rating Knightriders?
So what are you giving Knightriders? Honestly,
I can't. I'll start first. I'm like amped on George, so like I want to give it a higher number than it deserves. It does not deserve anything above a 3, FYI.
Agreed. Truthfully, and I'm glad that you said that. Truthfully, I'd probably give it a 2.5, but because I'm hyped on George and because I respect that he followed up Dawn of the Dead with this, I'm giving it a 3 out of 5. Anything higher, I think you're being ridiculous. I think you're being out of.
You're very excited. You're very excited for watching the weirdest movie. But I mean, that's part of the excitement too. Is it's like you've never seen anything like Knightriders in your fucking life.
You haven't. I watched this in 2022. I've never seen anything like Knightriders.
It's fucking insane. So you have to you want to give it extra credit for that, but it's not, because it's not okay. And no one should ever make a movie like that again. It's the fucking weirdest thing I've ever seen. From there, Knightrider.
What do you give it? You give it a 3?
I'm giving it a 2.5. I'll give it a 2.5.
Okay.
I'm trying to stay grounded. Fair
score.
But at the same, anyway, dude, it's just so weird. It's so fucking crazy. So 81, he releases that. 82, he comes in and he takes on a movie he did not write. They're all stories written by Stephen King. Actually, most of them were written for the movie. I think only 2 were from stories that he had already written. But he teams up with Stephen King to make Creepshow.
Yes, and an homage to the EC horror comics from the 1950s. So like Tales from the Crypt, The Vault of Horror.
And man, this movie, and I think we've talked about it in our anthology series before. I think we might have even done an episode on it. It was definitely in our anthology series for sure.
I didn't know we did that. So.
Dude. So actually, a listener, I still haven't gotten back to her email. I saw it. I'll pull it up real quick and I'll just answer her on the show, which is probably better, right? Her name is so many people. I believe it's Brandy. Okay, yeah, it's Brandy B, fan of the show. She had been like, "Hey, did you cover Tales from the Hood?" And I was like, "We definitely did."
Yeah, for sure.
And she's like, "There is no episode about that." And I was like, "Oh, whoops. Oh, wait, when did we do that?" Wait, did we do it separately or no? No. Okay, so we did favorite anthologies. Here's how we did it. We did favorite anthologies. We did 1 Trick or Treat, 2 Creepshow, and then the third one we did the best of the rest, where we covered Campfire Tales, Tales from the Dark Side, and Tales from the Hood.
Okay.
So there's your answer. It's episode 18. Holy shit.
Dude,
that's 16, 17, and 18.
2015? Damn.
2015. April 2015. Holy shit. Can you believe we're almost doing this for 10 years?
It did.
That's fucking weird.
Oh, man.
That's fucking weird. That's weird shit. A 10-year thing. Like,
I know this episode's long, but you know, we're doing a deep dive on George and not really saying anything of substance, so fucking deal with it. But dude, I always think about that because like life has changed so much from when we started to now. Like, I had a different career. I wasn't a dad. I wasn't even married when we started.
Yeah.
Like, now where we are, it's crazy to think back on that. And I guarantee every movie that you've listened, or every episode that you've listened to pre-2017, I have a completely different opinion.
For sure. Absolutely. But I mean, listen, we've also watched fucking a million movies since then. So
yes,
that shit changes. But anyway, so we've covered Creepshow apparently in full, a full fucking episode. So glad we're doing a live show on that.
But listen, hey, people are hyped about it. Like I've gotten messages from some that are like, I'm never able to join because they live on like the West Coast or whatever. Yeah. Like I'm never able to join, and like I'm going to fucking make it because I love Creepshow so much. And I want to hear you guys do it live.
Oh, I'm so excited to do it.
And not only is it going with our George Romero theme, but it's the day before Father's Day, and it starts off with a Father's Day segment. So there you go. You got the two themes.
That's great. That's sick. I'm excited for that. Father's Day. Yeah, no, this movie rocks. A staple of my childhood for sure, right?
Yes. Like arguably the greatest anthology of all time.
I think it has to be, right? Like, right? Dude, it's so hidden.
Tales from the Hood. Tales from the Hood is definitely in my top 3. I'd have to compare them. I haven't seen this since we probably did that episode.
Apparently, we've done it. We did compare them.
I'm excited to rewatch it for the live show. I do have very, very, very fond memories of it.
Oh, yeah, dude. So you have the opening, which has Atkins, right? You also have
the father.
As the father. You also have his son, Joe Hill. Playing Stephen the little boy in that, which is super cool. Love that. Then you have Father's Day segment, which everyone knows. Ed Harris. Which everyone loves to be like, look, it's Ed Harris being young and weird. Hey, guys. Knightriders did it. You got the lonesome death of Jordy Verrill, which is Stephen King acting gross.
Stephen King being out of his fucking... I appreciate this segment more and more, like the older that I get. Yeah. I think when I first saw it, I was like, why? This is so weird. Why is this Stephen King? And why is he acting like this? But now, like, the older you get, you're like, this is so campy. And this is such a throwback to the 50s comics that they were trying to emulate.
That's true, yeah.
I think it's really good. Yeah.
And also, can we just talk about, like, Stephen King was already hyper successful at this point and did not need to be like... oh, like making weird faces and licking his fingers and being like, oh, Jordy. Like, he did not have to do this to himself on film. And he chose
cocaine's a hell of a drug, you know?
For sure. Something to tide you over.
Leslie Nielsen
as a bad guy.
Dancing. Yeah.
Leslie Nielsen as a bad guy. And guess what? Fucking kills it.
It works.
He's scary. He's a fucking scary bad guy. I don't like him in this. Like, he fucking bothers me, man. He's fucking evil. Like, he's scary as fuck. The Crate, which is just a fucking...
Probably my favorite. It would be between that and Something to Tide You Over. But Hal Holbrook, Adrienne Barbeau, I mean...
Yeah.
Great monster one.
The Crate is amazing. And the Crate, like, is a perfect little... like breakup for the end of the movie. And it ends on this weird one that really works, which is they're creeping up on you, the cockroach one.
Yeah, that was always my least favorite as a kid, and it's another one that's grown on me the older I get.
And we saw Creepshow in the theaters.
At Cult Classics, right?
At Cult Classics.
Yes.
And watching it in theaters gave me more respect for that they're creeping up on you segment. Hated it, really. I'd never really liked it until I saw it in theaters, and I was like, ooh, this is fucking creepy. Like, it's fucking crazy gross.
How a theater experience can change your thought on it. And Cult Classics plays movies that you've seen 100 times, and admittedly, there's sometimes it's like, I've seen it 100 times. Like, why do I want to see this? And then I do. I'm like, holy shit! Like, seeing it in a theater was a different experience. And I agree with that. The seeing they're creeping up on you in the theater, like, helped me.
Yeah, it definitely brings those, like, bugs, like, to life, right?
Yes.
All right, so that's Creepshow.
And just worth noting, I think I said it earlier in the episode, but this is like the first time George is working with established stars.
Yeah.
You know, he might have had, like, a couple of people that have been in movies before, but these are Hollywood. Like,
this is a major theatrical release. Yes. So I'm excited to talk about it more on the live show, which join patreon.com/IHateHorror if you want to join us. We're not selling the individual tickets anymore because we lowered the Patreon price. So just join up for Patreon. You could cancel if you don't want to use it again. You know, it's easy peasy.
What is the date?
June 18th?
17th? 18th?
18th.
Okay.
Unless you need to move it, and then we can move it.
I do not.
Okay. Sick. So June 18th, join us for that. 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay. Rounding out this episode, finally. Day of the Dead, 1985.
Yes.
So
now you said to start this that you really liked it, you probably enjoyed it more than Dawn.
Yeah.
I really like this, and I'm only circling back to that because this was like frowned upon, which I can't for the life of me understand why people were like, this sucked. Like why were people disappointed by this?
People were disappointed by this?
Yeah.
Really?
It didn't do well. It didn't do well in theaters. People considered it like not like inferior compared to the first two. And that was a thing for years. It's only like recently gotten like cult status.
Wow, dude, a budget of $3.5 to $4 million. I mean, that explains why it looks so fucking good, because it looks fucking great.
They were like, do it. Like, you've done Creepshow, you've done Dawn of the Dead.
And it made $34 million, so it's not like it wasn't successful, but boy.
No, I think they had higher aspirations for it, but.
Yeah, for sure. Sorry, I'm just pulling something up right now. I was just looking at Dawn of the Dead, or Day of the Dead. Yeah, no, I really like it. I think the opening is a great fucking opening. I think
A+.
Like, right?
That dream sequence, and one of the best title screens of all time. When it has the title of the movie Day of the Dead, like I honestly think it's one of the best title screens ever.
Absolutely. And coming in at 1 hour and 40 minutes, so that was always nice. But opens up with this fucking alligator that, which alligator's better, Day of the Dead or that rap video? What's the rap video?
I'm the alligator fish. See you later. And he has the bandana on. That's good. It's Big Y, his group, the relatives.
Dude, it's so ridiculous. I mean, it also makes no sense that there's just an alligator roaming around. I love that like George was just like, get an alligator and throw it in there. He'd just be biting the zombies. Well, dude, would alligators would fucking eat up zombies, huh? They'd fuck them up.
It would probably be a good pet to have in this scenario, right?
Right, for sure. Absolutely. Fuck them up. But the zombie makeup has shifted significantly, and these zombies are next level. This is like, and again, you want to talk about giving credit where credit's due. It's 1985. This motherfucker like just invented the way zombies will look for the rest of film history.
Forever.
Like yes. They look dead on to what you're going to see.
Because in Dawn, Tom tried to emulate the black and white look from Night of the Living Dead.
Right.
They ended up looking blue. They all looked blue.
It was weird.
He even says he regrets doing that. He was trying to capture the black and white feel.
That makes me sad.
But he said he didn't like he wasn't like super pleased with the final product. This though is how zombies will look for as we know it from here on. Right.
That's so crazy. This dude was just fucking changing fucking film every movie he made. He was just doing it, right? He's not seeking clout. No.
He's not doing it for fame. He's just doing it. And like, you never once heard him be like, credit me. Like, this is me. Like, he's not rallying the troops to make it all about him. He just did it. And
all the interviews that I've read with people talking about him have been like, when he's on set, he's like and off set, they're like, he's the nicest fucking guy. And he listens to everything everyone says. And like takes it into consideration and is just like, yeah, let's fucking do it. Like Savini was just like, hey, can we write a scene where, this is for Dawn. He's like, can we write a scene where we put a screwdriver in a fucking zombie's ear? Cause I think I could make an effect for that. And George was like, yeah, all right. And like, that's where that fucking scene comes from where Flyboy gets tackled, or not Flyboy, the other cop gets tackled. And he fucking stabs him in the fucking ear with the screwdriver. Like, that's why they did it. Because Savini was like, that would be pretty fun. And he was like, Okay. And Savini even said, he was like, I bet you I could go up to him and be like, wouldn't it be sick if we could get a dragon to come out of the wishing well? And he's like, I bet George would be like, yeah, fuck it. Like, let's give it a fucking whirl. The dude just shot everything. And I think that's really cool. Is this the bleakest of them all, Day of the Dead? Or do you think Dawn is more bleak?
It's tough, man, because Dawn is more, like I said, in the moment. Like, hey, this is happening, and I have to figure out how to survive right now. This one, I think, is more overall bleak because it's just like, this is our life now. I'm going to wake up tomorrow, and it's still going to be the same. Whereas Dawn, you could be like, maybe I could escape somewhere where this is not happening.
Night of the Living Dead, actually, too, is pretty bleak fucking ending. Like, you're not really ending on a high note on Night. You're kind of...
No, you're not at all. But I mean, there's nothing to say to make that not bleak. I mean, everybody dies. Like everybody fucking dies.
It's super fucking bleak, actually. I don't know. I guess you give it credit that it's not bleak because, like, you think the zombies are contained to an extent, but like, really, they're just killing everything.
They're just killing everything, but at least there's a group of humans that are just like rolling into town and containing it. This, though, I think is the more overall bleak because there's no end. There's no end to this.
And the people in control are like, it's like, would you rather just be fucking running away from zombies or living with these fucking nightmarish fucking people? Which, by the way, I would leave immediately. As soon as I met Joe Pilato, who plays Captain Rhodes, I'd be like, I'm fucking gone, dude. This fucking guy is a fucking nightmare. This guy's going to give me a fucking agita.
Walter Steele. having to wake up next and just deal with that guy every day. I'd rather deal with the zombies.
Absolutely. Everyone in this base is a fucking headache. You would not stay 5 minutes. You'd be like, I'm fucking out of here. Fucking asshole. Joe Pilato is like one of the most unhinged characters I've ever seen. The Captain Rhodes. Like, and he fucking died in 2019. I was so bummed to find out. I would have loved to have talked to him. Dude, and he was 70 in 2019.
We don't do a lot of interviews on this show, but when we do, I have fun with them.
Yeah.
I want to interview Ken Foray and just talk about Knightriders. Like, I have so many questions about many of these films now.
Yeah.
And like, even like the bit characters, like, I just want to talk to people about how George was filming this and like what it was like on sets.
Yeah,
for all these
absolutely. I want to talk to Joe Pilato and be like, how he's got that fucking what's his name? We've been talking about him a lot. John Bernthal,
yeah,
from The Punisher.
Yeah.
For some reason, Joe and I've been talking a lot about him. I don't know why, but this guy's got that same fucking energy of like. This guy's fucking scary. Like, this guy scares the fucking piss out of me. Like, he's so unhinged that you're like, this guy's not fucking acting. He just shows up in a scene and is like, what the fuck? And you're like, oh my God, why is this guy so high strung? Like, it's so fucking nuts.
And some people just have like the perfect face to play that, right? Like, you can't, guy's not playing a hero. No. Like, you just look at him, like, I'm not believing that for a second. And I'm pretty sure guys like I'm, I can't speak for him and he's passed, unfortunately, so he can't speak for himself, but I'm sure he would say the same. Like who's going to cast you as a fucking protagonist? You just look at you. You're fucking menacing.
I mean, the guy from John Bernthal, we were talking about that the other day with him, where it's like, he hasn't really gotten a ton of roles except like the Ford versus Ferrari, where he was like a normal human being for once in his life. Every role, he's just like this guy that you're like, oh yeah, he looks okay. And then is just like, goes off the deep end and you're like, oh man, this guy's the fucking worst. Like, this guy's absolutely fucking nuts.
I just Googled Joseph Pilato and there's a picture of him from 2008 as his Wikipedia page. I mean, just fucking look at him. That guy is born to play a maniac.
He in 2008, 2008, he's wearing suspenders and dog tags. Motherfucker is a villain.
Yeah. Born for that.
Absolutely born for it. R.I.P. though, man. Fucking a Massachusetts native.
Yeah.
A Massachusetts native.
Hey, Steele, our boy Steele is a Connecticut native. Born and raised in Bridgeport.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's sick. That's awesome. Joe Pilato. So he's fucking great, though. He's fucking great in this movie. I mean, he's the most you can hate a human being in a movie is him and what's his name? His crony in this one. I forget. Oh, it's Steele, I think, right? It's got to be Steele. Who's the other piece of shit in this?
I mean, they all are, Sean. They all are fucking pieces of shit.
I'm like looking at them all now, and I'm like, oh yeah, for sure. It's just all of them.
I mean, this is the radio operator Bill, who's just fucking drunk maniac. I mean,
they're all so fucking nuts. Yeah, and the real heart of this movie is Bub the zombie.
Bub.
This is a much more linear movie than like George has been doing. It's very like we're gonna follow this idea from point A to point B, and that's kind of the movie, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And it revolves around essentially a military personnel that is not very pro-science, and a group of scientists who are obviously very pro-science and are like, we can learn from these things. And Bub is their example where they're kind of tapping into his brain, like getting into his memories, and like just by like, you know, playing music or doing things that he might have enjoyed while he was alive to kind of maybe, can you rehabilitate them? Can you teach them?
Can you revert this?
Can you do something? Like, are they even thinking? We don't even know if they're thinking.
Yes. The concept of capturing them, which is introduced within the first 10 minutes. Like they're antagonizing them so they can capture them in like a crate and then, you know, tie them up. The concept of doing that to study to see if like you can, they should have been doing this all along. Like since Dawn of the Dead. Like I love that idea. That's what they should be doing. And I can't fathom why people don't like this movie.
And like, it's the natural progression of this, right? Night of the Living Dead is like, what the fuck is this? Dawn of the Dead is like, we're fucked. What do we do? Day of the Dead is like, okay, we've established like a home for us, like a community.
Yeah.
Now
we're here. Let's solve this.
Figure out what to actually do because we can't stay locked in malls. We need to like do the next step, which is fucking like cut them open, look at them, and figure out what the fuck is going on. And in this case, you know, try and see if you can tap into those fucking brain cells of theirs. And Bub is the heart of that. And you open up with a helicopter coming to the city, and it's almost like a continuation of the end of the last one, like we talked about. So it's a weird thing he does there. What else is in there in Day of the Dead that we should touch on? Is there anything?
You know, it's a shame. Not a shame. It's not a shame at all. But I almost wish we could do like a full episode on Day, because I know we went really heavy on Dawn, and you know, rightfully so. It's Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah,
and we're trying to cram in 4 movies. So there's a lot, obviously, that's going to be left to be said for Day of the Dead.
I'm going to put it on our list of things to do in the future. Maybe that's something we do in October, because we
don't want this to be 3 hours. You know, we're already at 2 hours of just this. We already did Patreon, but there's a lot that I'm sure people would be disappointed we didn't highlight. But I mean, we're really just talking about George Romero, right? Yeah. And so far, from Night of the Living Dead up to Day of the Dead, George Romero knocks out of the park. George Romero made a movie about jousting dirt bicyclists.
A 2.5 hour movie.
It wasn't the worst thing I've seen. So
no,
our deep dive into George has been very positive, and I think ending the Night of the Living Dead trilogy on this is a very high note. I think it's very well done, very entertaining, and I have nothing negative to say about Day of the Dead.
And George is like the most punk rock director, I think, in horror.
Yes.
Like, he is the punk director. He is literally doing whatever he wants.
I do what I want, and I do it how I want.
And critics are going to be fucking furious about it, because they do, because you changed, you did something, you did Knightriders, you did a big budget zombie movie that was more linear than your other ones, or more like A to B storytelling, and like, people are going to get bent out of shape, and he's like, I don't fucking give a shit. And that might reframe the final episode for me. I don't know yet. I'm curious how I'll feel about them now. That final trilogy of Dead movies. But just
I have a feeling I'm going to be fond of Land of the Dead.
Yep.
A little bit more so than I was anticipating. I don't know how I'm going to feel about Survival and Diary. I really don't. I don't remember liking them at all. I'm excited, but that said, I'm excited to revisit them.
He's earned a lot of brownie points.
He has
for the last 2 decades now, right? 68 to where are we now? 88 or 85. So
that's the thing. The fact of the matter is, he didn't need to make those. So even if they're not good and they don't hold up, it's like, you know what? Earn your money, George, because you didn't earn it for Night of the Living Dead.
Yeah,
and you've already cemented your place as one of the greatest to ever do it. So,
and he does another gutting at the end of Day of the Dead that is like fucking monumental gutting of Captain Rhodes.
Yes,
that's just nuts. Bub. Oh, this is the one thing I did want to talk about Day of the Dead. This was actually not, it wasn't Dawn that I was like more comparing to those movies where it's like when you like if it came out now you'd be like, holy shit, what is this piece of shit? This movie, people for sure would have done that. Now that I know that people thought that anyway, but like the end of Bub shooting him and saluting him is like the most. You could criticize that, right? I get that. And but it would be like the criticism to Malignant where it's like, oh, I went into it expecting something else and then this happens. And it's like, yeah, that's true. But like, it still fucking rocks. I don't know.
You know, if you're going to criticize that, then you have to criticize 5-minute montage of zombies getting pies to the face like the Three Stooge characters in Dawn of the Dead, right?
Dawn of the Dead, a guy sprays seltzer in a fucking in a zombie's face like the old clowns used to. Like, dude, that's not that wasn't even a popular. It was fucking in the 80s. Stop it. What do you do? Or 78. What are you doing? That wasn't even a fucking funny thing then. Like, no one even knew why clowns did that. Spraying seltzer. He had the old seltzer bottle. A biker gang, dude. Where do the pies come from?
There's no way that existed in 78. Where do the pies come from?
What the fuck are we doing? One guy's walking around with pizza boxes. What the fuck is happening? It's like chaos.
Yeah, so if you're mad about the saluting, be mad about because I don't care about that. Like, it's fine. I'm fine.
It's the zaniest bit in that movie. So anyway, that's Day of the Dead. I know. You know, we end on a safe island though. They do escape through helicopter and they land on an island. I don't know if that will play into Land of the Dead, so we'll find out. So that's that.
What do you rate? What do you rate Day?
Day I will rate. I think it's 5, man. I think it's 5.
I respect it, man. I'm gonna give it a 4.5 just because I like Dawn slightly better.
Yeah. Yeah, I think these movies kind of like set the bar for which way you go for 4 or 5. It could be either one, right?
Yeah, give me a 4.5. It's. I
don't think you could rate them the same because they're different movies. I mean, I guess you could rate them both 5s, but like to me, it's like it's a preference there.
Exactly. You can honestly be convinced into either.
Yeah, exactly. So after Day of the Dead, Romero will again leave the zombies behind. He's going to end up writing Creepshow. He doesn't direct it, though. He writes it, which is funny. It's a switcheroo there.
Creepshow 2.
Creepshow 2, I'm sorry. He'll then write and direct Monkey Shines in 88. And he writes Cat from Hell segment from Dark Side, the Dark Side movie.
Yeah, I'm going to watch that for next week's episode.
Dark Side? Tales from the Dark Side?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Or at least his episode. I mean, we've done it on the show, but
yeah.
I'm going to rewatch it.
So then next week, we're going to jump into the 90s. He only writes and directs 2 full-length movies in the 90s. And he only directs 2, period, in the 90s. That being The Dark Half and Two Evil Eyes.
Two Evil Eyes.
He does direct Jarkanda Joe, but that's a short. And then Bruiser, which we'll talk about next week, is 2000. But close enough where we're going to lump it into his 90s resume there. So we're going to do Two Evil Eyes from 1990, The Dark Half 1993, and Bruiser from 2000. And we'll touch upon anything else we watch, Tales from the Dark Side. If we can get a copy of Jarkanda Joe, if you can tell me where to find it, Jarkanda Joe, I would love to fucking see it. So let us know if you have any intake on that. And that's it for this week. We're coming to an end. Yeah, this has been fun, man. I thought it was going to be a chore. I'll be honest, and maybe I do want to rate Knightriders higher. Knightriders, like, honestly, fucking... I mean, it's the same as last week, though. Martin was like... I was like, what the fuck? Been sleeping on this fucking movie forever. Knightriders, kind of the same thing. It's not good, but, like, I respect the shit out of somebody that makes that fucking movie, man. It makes no fucking sense.
Yeah, I respect Knightriders more than I like it.
Yeah. But that's it, guys. So thank you all so much. We really appreciate all of your support. It means the world to us. Sorry, I just read a fact that George Romero called Day of the Dead "Gone of the Wind" of zombie films. I meant the You know what? Maybe I take my fucking rating back. Thank you all so much for your support. If you do want to help support us, you can go ahead on over to patreon.com/IHateHorror. We're available at IHateHorror.com, Instagram.com/IHateHorror, and Facebook.com/IHateHorror. Joe has told me you guys are asking about merch. I will get something set up soon. I promise. I don't have time to ship the stuff anymore, so I'm trying to find a source that will print and ship for us. But the quality that you've learned to love from THS. Our shirts are always the softest, always the best. So
I love my THS.
Dude, they're fucking great.
I'm biased, but
dude, I actually fucking hate it because I wear them out because they're comfortable and they fit well.
That's so fun, dude. That's so fucking funny because I wear it to like all the shows and I'm like, I'm such a hardo wearing my own shit, but like they're so comfy and like. But also, like, I want to promote my show, you know?
And they fucking look good. Dude, every time I wear it out, somebody's like, that's a great fucking shirt. And I'm like, oh, thank you so much. And, you know, but, yeah, no, they're great. So I got to find somebody that does it the right way. So I'm working on it. I'll have a solution soon. So keep an eye out for that. And then that's it. Live show on the 18th. And next week, we're going to be doing part 3 of George Romero's serial killer. So that's all I've got. Joe, where can they find you?
Instagram, Boognish1985, and Boston peeps. I'll be in Boston again on Wednesday, seeing Paul McCartney at Fenway. So
fucking Wings, the Wings reunion.
The fucking Wings.
Does he play Wings or no?
I'm sure he does Band on the Run. You know, you gotta
wait. Which is the one with Michael Jackson in it? That weird ass music.
I keep wanting to say Ebony and Ivory, but that's with Stevie Wonder. It's say, right? Say.
Yes. That's the fucking weirdest music video of them putting on clown makeup and being like,
dude, the old like hobo clown, right?
Like sticking out their tongues at each other.
Idiots.
Hey, you know what kids love in music videos? Let's dress up as mimes, old-timey mimes. I know this guy David Bowie is doing crazy shit. No, we're gonna go Renaissance on them. They're gonna love it. And then Safety Dance doubled down on it. They were like, hey.
Safety Dance.
They were like, you know what? This Renaissance thing is really
the whole Renaissance Fair music video. We can dance if we want to.
Oh, man. All right, guys. That's it. Thank you all so much for joining us. And for Joe, this is Sean. Stay weird.
Thank you.
Adios.
I dissect movies all fucking day. I wanna play.